Welcome to Football Forecast Weekly, the most popular football program in America, featuring Dennis Tobler and Fred Wallen.
Hello, football fans. My name's Dennis Tobler here in Las Vegas, and this is Football Forecast Weekly. We're back again for another week of winners. And first of all, I want to shout out to my cousin, Chrissy, and her husband, Rocky, in Denver, Colorado, as they celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. By any measurement, that's a huge life accomplishment. Congratulations, Chrissy. And Rocky, you're a very lucky man. Okay, so congratulations to Chrissy and Rocky on their 50th anniversary coming up, and we love you. Okay, let's get into some football because I don't think football is for lovers. So let's bring on the show Mr. Fred Wallen, the sports guru of Sports Talk Radio from Los Angeles. Mr. Fred Wallen, are you there?
Yeah, you know what? I must say this. We indicated last week that the real Buffalo Bills would show up and the real Las Vegas Raiders would show up. And we said 3, 4, or 5 touchdowns. And it was right on the button at 4 touchdowns. And
You
Josh
were
Jacobs.
right on the button. I was.
Josh Jacobs. You ready for this? You know what his rushing was in that game?
No, 100 yards.
-2.
Yeah, I don't know. All these games seem a little crazy to me in every regard. I mean, the outcomes, the scoring at the end, the coaching, it's unbelievable. Before we get into the NFL, Fred, I did want to ask you a few things about college football. We're in a few weeks to the season now, and everybody's got some opinions. I remember last year on the show, I picked USC Trojans to win the national championship and got laughed off of social media, but they damn near made it. So I'm going to pick Southern Cal again this year because I think with everything under the belt in 2 years with Lincoln Riley, they are going to really roll. My pick to win the national championship is USC. I just want some input from you on what you think the college season looks like.
Well, all I have to say about USC, for them to win it, they're going to have to score 60 or 70 points per game, because their defense against good teams is going to give up 40 or 50 points per game. And it hasn't improved. It's hard to tell over first 2 games of the season, and they were off last week. But the point is, they have to do something on the defensive end. They made a couple of changes as far as coaching was concerned. But so far, the defense has shown me nothing. Offensively, they're fun to watch. And if you're going to have Washington against USC, in the Pac-12, it's going to end up 72-71, something like that. And it's fun to watch. I'm not sure it's enough to win, though.
Okay, I made a pick. You make a pick for the national championship.
I'll stick with, Georgia's going for 3 in a row. I mean, they're going to have a shot, even though they're down by 2 touchdowns at halftime. They come back and win and shut out South Carolina in the second half. Folks, we're taping this on Tuesday. So if something happens this Saturday, when you might be watching this Saturday night, I apologize. But I think somebody in that conference, again, is going to win it. Alabama probably will not, based on the first couple of games. But at Georgia, and I'll tell you the truth, in the Pac-12 or now the Pac-2, well, Washington has one of the best quarterbacks in America. In Penzick, you're not going to get much better than that. The only knock on him, he's left-handed, and they like right-handed quarterbacks. But other than that, he throws it as hard as anybody. He makes the right decisions. They're fun to watch, and he's going to get some votes as far as the Heisman is concerned.
Oh, for sure, he's going to be in the top 3 for the Heisman. So we'll put you down for Georgia, but the college football ranks. I want to say something to the clients that are on my footballforecast.com site. Went 10 out of 12. We won. I believe I emailed you those picks, Fred. We won 10 out of 12 selections for our college clients this last weekend. So everybody go to footballforecast.com and log on there to purchase our top weekend selections. As Fred said, we do this show on Tuesday. It's called Football Forecast Weekly for a reason, because we forecast what's going to happen during the week with the lines, the point spreads. We try to give you the advice that's going to keep you ahead and with a positive edge on your side. So without any further hesitation, let's get to the National Football League now. The first game on the board this week is the Chargers on the road again in an early game, this time up against the Minnesota Vikings. The game is bounced back and forth, both teams -1. I see it at a pick right now as I'm looking at my computer screen, but say it's a pick. How do you see this game? Chargers and Vikings, a pick.
Based on the coaching, you got to go with Minnesota. So it's got to be a slight lean in that aspect. Brandon Staley's Brandon Staley. They're finding a way to lose. Herbert can't play much better than he's played the first 2 games. But if you score 34 points you score 30 points every game and you lose, there's something definitely wrong. And you got to remember, the last game of last season in the playoffs, they're up 27-0 at halftime against Jacksonville, end up losing 31-30. So the point is Brandon Staley going to be the coach? Is the team behind him? I don't know. But between the 2 clubs, I'll go with Cousins and Minnesota to maybe squeak out something. But you got to lean a little bit, I think, toward the Vikings.
Yeah, I really would like to take the Chargers in this situation. I believe he's got something like Herbert that has something like 900 and some yards passing, a bunch of touchdowns, 30 points a game, and 0 interceptions. Okay, when you're doing that and you're 0-2, there's only one person to blame, and that's the coach. And I say if they lose this weekend, he's gone. That's what I say, because I don't think they're going to go any longer. I don't understand why anybody else can't see this, because Herbert's played perfection football and they've scored tons of points. He's had no turnovers and they have not won a game. That's the coaching. In this matchup, I'm taking the Vikings also, but I want to make another point here to our viewers and listeners, which is a big part of our show. We try to track the market for you and where it's going. The total on this game started at 49 and is now sitting at 54. So this is going to be a shootout. Neither team can stop the other team. And I'm going to go with the Vikings and probably an over bet there. And like Fred says, we do this show early in the week so we can prepare you people for what's coming down the line. So when you look at your lines later in the week, you need to understand what we were talking about, where the line's going to, and try to get yourself the advantage like we do. Okay, strange we agree, but we did, especially on that game. Okay, let's go to another one. And just like I told everybody last week, those Monday night games were about as lousy as they could be. And this next game on the board, the Titans at the Cleveland Browns, is another lousy game. Cleveland's a 4-point favorite here. They lost their running back last week for the season. Watson just is not a quality quarterback. He turned over a touchdown on the first series of the game and the last series of the games. So, he just can't do it. As far as I'm concerned, Cleveland's not anything. They're 4-point home favorites too here. And I'm not giving them the advantage. I'm taking Tennessee. They'll run the ball. It'll be a 3-point game. I'm going to take the points there.
I think Tennessee, I think Henry's good for a good game. And I think it might happen this weekend. I really do. And again, you mentioned it, the loss of Chubb is a tremendous loss for any team in this league. He's one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the National Football League. He is gone. And again, the ironic thing was half the league is playing on grass and half is our artificial turf. It was grass. So you can't even blame the artificial turf. All I know is when he went off, I think everybody sensed that it wasn't good. And it was horrible news. And Chubb's, again, one of the best running backs. Without him, I think they're in trouble. And so I'm going to take the points and take Henry to score a couple of touchdowns for the Titans.
Here we agree again. And I want to say this about Cleveland. They have Amari Cooper. And they have a couple of other guys that they could get the ball to. But they can't do it without Chubb at the running back to keep the defense off of them. So going forward, I'm not going to be on the Brown side of the fence very much going. I don't think Watson can get the job done. I just don't think he can. Okay, so we're on the same side, two games up here. Let's go to another matchup that I'm sure everybody's jumping for joy to see, and that's the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are supposed to be better, but they've underperformed the first 2 weeks of the year. Houston, like we say, is one of the worst teams in the league. However, they are going to play the other quarterback, I believe, this week, which may make a little bit of difference. Jacksonville opened at 7.5 or 8. It's up to 9 now. It'll probably be 10 by game time. How do you see this one, Fred?
I don't see it. I like Jacksonville, but you know my rule: if it's like 10, I'm not going to bet it one way or the other in real money. Jacksonville is going to win. If you want to bet the money line, you know, what are you giving up, 500 or 600 to 100? But Jacksonville is going to win this game, and I think I think Peterson's a good coach, and I think the Texans obviously in trouble. Look, I just think Jacksonville is going to win this game, and we're in a situation where you can't give that many points. And as far as the over/under, Jacksonville scored 9 last week, so you can't bet the over in this kind of a circumstance. I'm just going to say Jacksonville is going to win.
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jacksonville's going to win and cover. I don't think Texas can score any points against them. Jacksonville is looking to be much better this year, and it hasn't worked out so far. I think they're going to take it out on the Houston Texans this weekend. I'm going to lay whatever number there is. Hope it gets down to 8.5 by game time instead of 10. I'm going to take the Jaguars in this one. One more quick one here, and then we'll go to break, and that's the New England Patriots are 2.5-point favorites at the New York Jets. These New England teams, East Coast teams, are all highly overrated. How do you see this one? You think Belichick can win by 3 on the road, Fred?
Well, he's 0-2 for the first time since 2001. I don't think he's going to go 0-3. End of story. Jets, Wilson is Wilson. They lose again by 20 points last week to Dallas. No, I think they'll get their first victory here. Patriots will get their first win here. Belichick's not going 0-3.
Well, whether he covers the points or not is the actual question here, and I'm going to take the Jets plus the 2.5. I haven't seen Belichick do anything. I haven't seen his quarterback do anything. They can't score. I hate their offense. The quotes you had last week about Belichick losing more games as a coach without Tom Brady than he's won fits again. I'm going to take the Jets at home here. I might play them on the money line. Okay, well, that's the first third of the schedule out of the way. We're going to take a short break now. I want everybody to pay close attention and listen to the spot coming up about Now Place Your Bets. Now Place Your Bets, the history of sports betting in America, is online and you can view it. So we'll take a short break and be back with the rest of the games after this.
Now Place Your Bets. This groundbreaking film details the dramatic rise of legal sports betting in Las Vegas and its growth into a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide. Through in-depth interviews, personal accounts, and vintage footage, we highlight the key elements and milestones that shaped the sports betting industry into what it is today. This history also dovetails with the changing fortunes of Las Vegas as a gambling town at turns overseen by the elements of organized crime, corporate interests, and the U.S. government. Featured prominently in the film are pioneer odds makers and historians who witnessed these events. Today, betting on sports is a popular pastime and a lifestyle choice for many Americans. Its appeal incorporates the innate drive for competition and the rewards of winning. Watch Now Place Your Bets on Amazon Prime and NowPlaceYourBets.com.
Welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly, everyone, and I urge all of you to go to NowPlaceYourBets.com and watch the documentary on the history of sports betting in the United States, because this story tells you how legalized betting came to be after 100 years of people trying to get it across the finish line. It's a fabulous story with a lot of Vegas footage in it. You must watch it. NowPlaceYourBets.com and take an hour and 35 minutes of your time and learn something. Okay, back to the football scene here. We're going to go through some short order here because the importance isn't that great. The New Orleans Saints are on the road to play the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 2-point favorites in this matchup. I'm going to throw it to you first, Fred. How do you see it?
The Saints, one fewer day, get ready, because of course they played on Monday. I think Jordan Love's going to have a big afternoon. I think in this circumstance, I'm going to have to lay a point or two, and that's all it's going to be come Sunday is a point or two as far as the Packers are concerned. I think Jordan Love is going to prove that he can be a top-notch quarterback. I saw him play a lot in college. I don't think Aaron Rodgers gave him a shot. And I'm not asking him to move aside. I'm saying just be sort of a mentor, as Favre was not to him. So I'm going to take Jordan Love and the Packers at home to win this one. And it's going to be a short number, so I think Green Bay will win and cover.
Yeah, Green Bay's they kind of blew it last week at the end of the game, but I'm with you on this. I think they're going to play much better at home, and only laying 2 is a valuable number because a field goal will win the game for you. On the other side of the ball, I mentioned the first show of the year that Derek Carr had helped New Orleans substantially, and he did help them substantially. They're 2-0 now, which gives me the indication that they may be a little happy, and they're going on the road, and it's not going to hurt them much if they come back 2-1. So I'm going to stick with you and take the Packers in this matchup too.
But you know
All
what?
right,
Can I say one thing
Sure.
in this one?
Sure.
Who do you like, Matt LaFleur or Dennis Allen, or neither?
I don't know. I think I'd go with Allen, give him a shot with his new personnel for now.
All right. I'm
But
just
that's
saying
the
that
That's the
neither
wrong
has
answer
proven,
for the game we selected, though.
neither has proven a lot to me over the years. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. Let's say that. Okay, let's move on to the big matchup between the Denver Broncos, and I don't think Russell's your favorite quarterback any longer, at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 7-point favorites. And once again, folks, the total on this game went from 45.5 to 48. That means that huge syndicates are dumping tons of money on the over in this game. If you want to get the over in this game, get on it right now because it's just going to continue to go up. As far as I see it, it's going to be a shootout. Both teams are going to score at will. But the Tua to Tyreek is the quintessential best in the league. I don't care who you want to compare them to. And they will probably hit for 2 or 3 touchdowns in this matchup. I think Russell, the coach is threatening to maybe replace Russell. So Denver's morale is not good. So
He
if
was
that
sacked.
happens,
He was sacked 7 times last week.
yeah,
But I watched most of that game. It
they
wasn't
turned
Russell
it over,
Wilson.
you know?
It wasn't Russell Wilson. And again, I must say this. They're 0-2, but maybe they should be 1-1. If you watch the end of that game, he throws the Hail Mary. It's completed. Now they got to go for 2 in the end zone. It's defensive pass interference. They have to call it, except they don't call it. So maybe the game's still going on. All I can tell you is that he scored his 30 plus. He's playing well. He threw 300 something yards in this game. It's not Russell Wilson. Last year, listen, I've been a Wilson fan since North Carolina State, Wisconsin. I've been a Wilson fan like forever. Okay. Last year, he played horribly. So far, the first 2 games, you can't blame him. Just like in the Charger situation, if you're scoring these kind of points, it's not on the quarterback. So I just think that to bench him is insane, and I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the Denver Broncos are going to play this one well, and it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be 35-28 or something like this. I think it's going to go way over.
Yeah, I think it is too, and I agree with you. And I agree with you and Russell too. I watched most of that game, and he played very well. But still, if you have to have a Hail Mary at home to even tie the game and a 2-point conversion, something's not going well. And Denver's defense doesn't look at all like it ever did. So maybe this coach better shut his mouth and complaining and criticizing everybody else. And he don't take any blame for any of this. I listened to him on there. He's blaming the defense and blaming Russell Wilson. So, it's a long. He has a long way to go to prove himself there. So he's 0-2 on the season too, the new coach. All right, let's move on down. I try to do these quicker, but there's too much information to pass along. So let's get to the Bills on the road, 6.5-point favorites over the surprising Washington Commanders, who've scored a ton of points this year. And I just didn't believe in their quarterback. I still don't. And the Bills played almost perfect game after their lousy performance in week 1 in their exhibition schedule. Last week, they played almost perfect. And I think they'll play almost perfect against Washington, too. This is where Washington's rubber meets the road. I'm going to take the Bills, lay the 6.5 on the road.
No, I agree. Again, I've indicated from the start that this team's going to win for 14 games, 13 games this year and win a game or two in the playoffs. I don't think there's any question. They scored the 38th last week, and Allen didn't even score a touchdown. So my point is five different guys scored touchdowns in the victory last week, in the easy victory last week. I think they'll win easily here, and I think they'll win by as many points as they want to win by, to tell you the truth, and the home fans are not going to be happy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think the quarterback will be exposed in this matchup. The Bills have a good defense. Okay, we agree there, and I think everybody's going to be a consensus play on the Bills. The next game on the board is the Atlanta Falcons at the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are overrated all year, every year. Last year, they were overrated. This year, they're overrated. They played horrible and got beat at home last week. The Falcons pulled one out of the butt. That's all I can say. And so Detroit's a 3-point road or home favorite after being favored by 6 going into the week. They're now only 3-point favorites. And I don't have much respect for the Detroit Lions, but in this matchup, I'm going to lay the 3 and take them.
So am I. Goff finally threw an interception after not throwing one for 300 and something consecutive passes. But they scored points. There's no question. It was the defense that cost them the game last week to Seattle. So the bottom line is, I think the Lions are a team that's going to win 10 games this year. So I disagree with you as far as that is concerned. I think Campbell's a good coach. I think the guys play hard for him. They got the wide receivers. Goff is playing well. One reception is not going to change his life. He threw 2. But the bottom line is I like the Detroit Lions here to cover. And as you indicated, drop to 3. I think this is it's time to get in now, folks. Don't wait till it's going to pop up to 4.5 or 5 again. I would take it at 3 in a second.
I agree. They took it down as much as they could take it down. When it goes from 6 to 3, it's down there. When the squares start betting later in the week, the line will go up on the Lions. So you want to grab them now. And let's see what the Falcons can do on the road. The next matchup is seriously, these are not inviting matchups, at least from my part of the country. I could care less. The Indianapolis Colts are at Baltimore playing the Ravens. The Ravens played a great game last week. The week before, they played a terrible game. They're 8-point home favorites against the Colts. Once again, make it easy on you. I'm taking the Ravens. They're going to run all over the Colts. I don't think the Colts are going to be much at all this year. I hate to say that, but that Anthony, whatever his name is, the new quarterback, is going to get hurt. He's not going to make it through the whole year. Their second team quarterback's not going to carry him very far. And at this point in the season, Baltimore should be able to run all over them. I'm taking Baltimore laying the 8. If it was closer, like if it was 7 or 6.5 or something like that, you'd think Indianapolis would have a chance. But when it's 8, that means the game's going to end up 9, 10, 12-point advantage. I'm taking the Ravens laying the 8.
I have no strong opinion on this one way or the other, because I don't see Lamar Jackson as being a complete, all-around, all-the-time quarterback. You can never tell. Remember, now they're going without J.K. Dobbins the rest of the season. Again, one of the best running backs in the National Football League. I'm going to pass. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other as far as this one is concerned. It might be too many points. So Fred's going to pass on this one.
Well, here's an interesting matchup for you that I'm going to throw to you first. The Carolina Panthers, who are lousy. The new quarterback from Alabama that I don't remember quarterbacks' names, okay? So when I say the Panthers' new quarterback, that's the rookie. He is not going to be able to score any points in this league. He's far too little. He looks like he's in junior high playing out there with them big guys. And he doesn't know what he's doing. He can't read the field. He can't see anything to call anything different at the line of scrimmage. And he is in for a long, hard year. Seattle, on the other hand, they were 4.5-point favorites on this game when it opened, and it quickly jumped to 6.5. And Seattle's played better, just like you predicted they would. And I'm going to take Seattle and lay the 6.5 at home. And all of these points I'm laying may come back to bite me, but there it is.
You have Metcalf, you have Lockett, you've got the comeback player of the year last year in Geno Smith. The first game that cost me the Survivor contest, I thought they beat the Rams, but the point is they didn't. They played horribly. They came back. Fortunately, the victory last week, I think they'll cover. And again, I don't know how any defense stops them, to tell you the truth, because Geno Smith, back up most of his career, has found a new way, found a new light. And with those wide receivers that he has, Disley as a tight end, he's liable to catch a touchdown pass or two. I think, again, it'll be a high-scoring affair. I like Seattle. I think you got to go with the Seahawks here.
Yeah, I do too. And we'll lay the points on that one. Look, Carolina is going to have one of the worst records in the league. I don't know how long that rookie quarterback, Bryce, number 1 draft choice, Alabama.
Bryce Young, yeah.
Bryce Young. I don't know. To me, he's not a big-time quarterback. The game's way too fast for him. The SEC plays slow compared to the NFL. So
how many Alabama quarterbacks do we have now in the National Football?
I don't know. There's 5 or 6, and there's too many of them. That's for sure. Okay, let's see if we can find another one down the road here. One more game, we'll go to break. Dallas Cowboys, 13-point road favorites over Arizona, who blew the coop last week, blowing a 28-point lead to the fabulous New York Giants. And now everybody thinks the New York Giants quarterback is Danny somebody, or I don't know. I read some stuff on Facebook, and I had to laugh my ass off because I don't know how he ever got a nickname at all, the New York Giants quarterback. In this matchup, Dallas is just too strong for Arizona. Arizona's not going to be able to jump on them either at the start like they did last week. They're going to get killed by Dallas. This could be a 40-0 score again, 40-10. If you have to play the game, you have to play the Dallas side of it. There's no way you're going to take any money lines on it. The total is insufficient to guess. Okay, you cannot guess because you don't know whether Arizona will score or not. So in this matchup, I'm passing, basically saying the Cowboys are the best team and should win.
I think this is going to be so one-sided that Trey Lance may play for the Cowboys in the fourth quarter. Prescott's played well this year, except in the red zone. In the red zone, they have not played all that well. Outside of that, they have. I said this last week, and I'm going to stick to it. Arizona is the worst team in the league, and the Giants are getting. I listen to WFAN, and some of the hosts think the Giants actually have a shot here. No shot. They don't have Barkley. I mean, not only, you don't have your running back, and Danny Dimes, Danny Jones is not. He played well for one half of one game against maybe the worst team in the league, and they think that gives them a shot against the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry, no sell.
Okay, we have a super fan back in Pennsylvania, Mr. Robinson, that chimes in on our selections every week and stuff, and I want him to pay close attention to your analysis there because I'm not going to step on it at all with any comments, except for to say he's one of them that thinks Danny might turn into a great quarterback. But I must say he's a New York Giants diehard fan, so we'll have to wait and see. We appreciate your input, Mr. Robinson. Okay, let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll finish off the schedule for you with some important ball games and information. We'll see you in a minute. Hello, football fans. Dennis Tobler here with some great, exciting news for the 2024 season. You can watch Football Forecast Weekly on many outlets, from Astound TV Network to footballforecast.com, gamblingbroadcast.com, the Gambling Broadcast Network on YouTube, and many, many, many more stations. Also, I want to tell you that you can access the audio to Football Forecast Weekly on every podcast channel. So pick your favorite podcast channel and make sure you bookmark Football Forecast Weekly for every week. We're on Amazon Music or Apple Music, Amazon, all the way to Spotify and TuneIn. Every one of them carries Football Forecast Weekly. So if you want to win and you want to win big, stay tuned to Football Forecast Weekly each week right here on this station. I urge all you people to go to footballforecast.com to watch this show. It's also on all of the Revolver podcast spectrum. You can hear the audio on that. If you go to footballforecast.com, you can watch the actual TV show. And on there, you can also purchase our weekend selections. Last week, my college picks were 10 of 12. That's right. Won 10 picks, lost 2. And when you add the money management system to it, we went up about 50% of our bankroll on Saturday last week. So if you want to win, go to footballforecast.com, follow us all through the year, and you'll see how it's done. Okay, let's get back into the football season here, or football schedule for this week. I need Mr. Fred Allen Fred Allen. Fred, you've got me thinking about Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, so much I called you Fred Allen. So anyway, let's get back to the games. We're looking at the Chicago Bears at the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're looking at another huge line here on this matchup. Kansas City's a 13-point home favorite here. And the total on this one, and then I have a comment on totals before we get to it. The total on this one was 50, went down to 47.5. Here's one game you can bet the under on, because Chicago probably will not score. Before I go any further on the over and unders, I need to pass this information on to all you listeners. This is what happened last week. The overs were 13-3. So we're still in exhibition season, okay? We're in exhibition season. The overs were 13-3. That's not going to happen this week. On the Bears-Chiefs game, the 47.5 is an indicator. Bet the under no matter what. The Chiefs will win it by however many they want. The Bears will be lucky to get over 6 points. I'm taking Kansas City in this one and under.
Game number 1, the Chiefs lose to the Lions 21-20. Last week, they only scored 17 against Jacksonville. So multiply, they'll score as many as they want to in this one. Pacheco will go wild on the ground, and Mahomes is Mahomes. So I can't disagree with anything you just said. The Chiefs started slowly, and they started slowly last year, but they got an easy win here. And Fields is not going to do much against the Kansas City defense. So 40-10, 40-7, something in that range.
Exactly. That's the way I see it too. So KC and under may be the play of the week, folks. Okay, the night game this week on Sunday night is the tremendous Pittsburgh Steelers against my hometown Las Vegas Raiders. Now, these matchups this week seem kind of irrelevant to me. I mean, none of them bring excitement to my bloodstream. So this one is one that probably won't either. I do want to mention one thing to start with. The under in this game is going to be good because neither team's going to score much. And then I want to say this about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They too are highly overrated. They are terribly coached. The quarterback Pickett has been in the league 1 year. This year, he's not going to be able to produce anything because they've had a year to figure him out. And as receivers can't catch the ball anyway, so I don't see them scoring much. The Monday night game was a catastrophe. I mean, it was just a blithering exhibition game of who had the ball last is all it was. And it was interceptions and fumbles and everything else. Look, Pittsburgh's coming to play the Raiders. This game's a pick, and it's bounced back and forth. The Raiders probably end up 1 at game time. The under's 43. I'm taking the under. The Raiders are a better team with Garoppolo and Devontae Adams, and they can score points, and I don't think Pittsburgh can outscore them. Now, the Raiders defense needs to put some pressure on the quarterbacks. They're paying those guys a ton of money to put pressure on, but they didn't put any on last week. They're going to have to against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh may have an overall better roster, and they're going to have a lot of people in the stands here at Allegiant Stadium, but I don't think they're going to win the game. I really don't. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is getting better week in, week out. They're going to have a running game against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense isn't what it used to be. And even though we got 2 coaches here who you never know what they're going to do next, I'm going to take Vegas in a hesitant play.
I totally disagree with you.
Okay.
Josh McDaniels is Josh McDaniels, and he's never going to change. I think the Steelers were lucky to win, certainly on Monday night. They're not going to be lucky to win here. And I disagree with you about Pickett. I think from the University of Pittsburgh, I think he can develop into a top-notch quarterback. Jimmy G, I don't know. Again, they lose 38-10 to Buffalo. I don't think Pittsburgh will win that easily, but I think Pittsburgh will win going away. I'm going to take the Steelers on Sunday night. And I'll tell you this also. Obviously, if this were not game 3, if this were game 9, they would move this game out of the Sunday night package. You know that. They would move it to an afternoon one and put a better game on Sunday night. NBC is not going to have big viewership this weekend coming up on Sunday. So I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to win here.
Well, I think most people are going to take Pittsburgh, and I may take back what I said about the Raiders ending a 1-point favorite here, because the public's going to get on Pittsburgh. The public's going to be on Pittsburgh, but I don't see it. And I disagree with Pickett, which I disagree with all your quarterback angles. Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be a star. I don't think he's ever going to make it. You watch how many interceptions he has this year. I mean, give these defensive coordinators a year to watch films on guys like him, and they can stop him because he's not multitasking, and I don't think he can read the line of scrimmage either. Only the quarterbacks that can read the line of scrimmage are the ones that play well in the NFL. Garoppolo does that. So that's why I like that there. But however, I don't think there'll be much scoring. Okay, so we are different on the second half of the board. That's for sure. And that takes us to the Monday night matchups this week. Can you tell me why they have 2 games starting an hour apart on Monday night?
Because they got a lot of money's involved. So ESPN needed the game, so they paid a lot of money for the second game. And somebody emailed me and said, how come they don't run them back to back? Well, you can't run them back to back because 4:00 Pacific time is the earliest you can possibly start, because West Coast people work on Monday. They're not going to get home and they want the rating. So you can't have the first game going 4 to 7:30 Pacific time and the second game going 7:30 to 11 at night. That's 2 in the morning in the East. So they can't do
Can't have
it.
that,
So-
but the late game bleeds all over till it's late night, and you're trying to watch 2 games at one time, and you just take away from the interest of both of them. I don't know. ESPN's in bad shape. I think I mentioned on this show last week where they closed their Las Vegas operations down across from Caesar's Palace at the Lynx. They gave up their lease. They fired Doug Kazarian. They fired the other coach or the other host on that show. We're talking about Daily Wager on ESPN. And they did it in such a quick hurry that they gave up their lease and moved their equipment and everything back to Bristol, Connecticut, ESPN headquarters. They fired the host, 2 of them, took one host back, made him move to Bristol, Connecticut. And now you're watching the Daily Line show from Bristol, Connecticut with a bunch of guys that are just radio talk show hosts. So I don't think ESPN's got anything on the ball right now. I just wanted to add that because they're completely out of Las Vegas now with the Super Bowl coming up. So we know that ESPN's just about ready to be out of business.
Dennis, they've lost like 20 to 30 million viewers over the last 5 years.
Well,
So,
I can
yeah.
see why. I can see why, because I watch their daily shows and it's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of guys yelling at each other, and none of them have ever done anything. And they get too many players on there that don't associate the game outside of playing the game and things like that. So, the shows they have in the afternoon are worthless to watch. There's no information in them. And when you come on there and you say your best bet is, Josh Allen throwing for over 240 yards this week, that's your best bet? No, that's not your best bet. That's DraftKings and FanDuel telling you to go play these high odds proposition bets where they take 50, 60, 70 cents out of the middle. Look, people, if you're betting with FanDuel or DraftKings or any of these non-regulated sports books, you're getting a raw deal. All right. You need to find some place where you lay 10-cent juice if you're going to win. And forget these prop bets. There's way too much juice on it. I think we got off schedule here. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, 5-point favorites in Tampa, first game Monday night. What do you say?
I think Baker Mayfield is playing very, very well. I think the Bucks playing better than a lot of people think they'd be playing at this point in time. But with that said, I would say probably right now, Philadelphia is the best team in football. Jalen Hurts, again, he started at Alabama, another one of those former Alabama quarterbacks. Of course, he transferred, but the point is he's playing like perfect football. I mean, he'll score on the ground and he'll throw a pass almost every game, at least one, sometimes two. Philadelphia is going to win straight up. What's exactly the number you have at this point?
It's 5, and 5's a dead number, so 4 or 6. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what you got to figure on in something like this. I'm with you. I lay the 5 and take the Eagles. They are one of the best teams in the league. They might even be ranked number 1 in the bookies rankings. I'm not sure. I don't look at those because I don't want them to sway my opinion, but it could be. So we're both on the Eagles on the first game. Second game is your Los Angeles Rams. You can help us here. Cincinnati Bengals, 0-2. They look bad. And the line on this game was 3, and it dropped way down to 4 or 5 or something to start with. It dropped clear down to 1.5. The Bengals are 1.5-point favorites now over the Rams. The total dropped from 46.5 to 43. So we know there's not going to be much scoring in this one. So it'll be in Cincinnati, the Rams at Cincinnati. What do you say?
Rams are fortunate. They played very well in game number 1 against Seattle. Obviously not as fortunate last Sunday. The point being, I think that Zach Taylor is a better coach than McVay. I think McVay is going to quit at the end of the season. There's trouble in the Ram camp. Cam Akers, they've already said, he's going to be traded. He's their best running back. Something's going on there as far as that is concerned. So from that aspect, I think you got to lean the other way, just because even though the Bengals are 0-2, who would have bet that? Nobody, I don't think. Burrow's going to have a big game at this point. The Ram defense is the Ram defense, not all that great. They've got 2 of the 11 guys that they had at the Super Bowl of 2 years ago back on the defensive side. 2 of the 11. Again, Kupp is out. Again, another couple of weeks at least. They found a receiver in the kid from BYU. There's no question about that. But bottom line, I'm going to take the Bengals, short number. I'm going to take the Bengals to win here by a touchdown or more.
I'm going to take the Bengals. I'm going to go along with you. I think that it's necessary for them to win. They cannot go 0-3, even in the lousy divisions, and hope to get back on track and make it to the Super Bowl. The Rams have played well, but they still came from behind and got backdoor covers both weeks. I'll take it because I have them. This week, I think they're going to get beat too. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, but I think the Bengals will pull it out at home. So if you have any one last comments, Fred, that'll be it for this week.
Folks, we're taping this on Tuesday. So far, Coach Prime at Colorado is having the time of his life. They're losing in the last few seconds to Colorado State. They're losing the entire fourth quarter to Colorado State. And one way or the other in overtime, he does it again. And let me say something. His son, Sanders' son, as a quarterback is unbelievable. I don't know how, again, I never saw him play, at that level. But now he's playing at big time level. Some of you are going to see this after their first Pac-12 game, so you might forget all of this. We'll find out. All I can tell you is that team that he's got, and he got rid of everybody he didn't like, is playing well together. And the Colorado State fans aren't too thrilled. But right now, he was on 60 Minutes on Sunday night.
That's
So he must
exactly
be doing
what I was gonna
something
say.
right.
Talk about capture the nation. He was on 60 Minutes, for crying out loud. The one thing I will add is this: they get a test this week because they play Oregon at Oregon. So we're going to see how good both of those teams are after this week. Well, that's about as much information that we can pass along in this amount of time. So for Fred Wallen in LA and for Alan Jett in Tennessee, this is Dennis Tobler in Las Vegas signing off. We'll see you next week.